I was recently surfing the internet and found a video that talked about tightening a Jacobs chuck. In the video, the author said that it was necessary to tighten the chuck in all three holes. This didn't make much sense to me. If you look at a video on repairing a Jacobs chuck, you'll see that the jaws have a male thread and that there's a split nut that surrounds them with a female thread, much like a nut and bolt. So it didn't seem to matter logically that it would matter which hole you tightened it in, but I decided to try it, so let's see what happens. So that's as tight as I can get it in that first hole, and if my theory is correct, I shouldn't be able to tighten it anymore. Let's see. But actually I was able to tighten it a little bit more. And in the third hole, a little bit more still. This is an example, though, of drawing the wrong conclusion from an observation. It would seem that it does matter which hole you use, but as you'll see next, it really doesn't. So what we'll do is tighten this again to finger tighten, and I'll tighten it in hole number 1. But instead of moving to hole number 2, I'm going to stay in hole number 1. And as you can see, I was able to tighten it a little bit more. We'll stay in hole number 1. And I can't tighten it anymore. Now let's move to hole number 2. And I can't tighten it anymore. And hole number 3, I can't tighten it anymore. The reason for this is that when you tighten it the first time or start to tighten it, your wrist is in a position of strength. As you rotate the key, you get in a weaker position. So at the end of your first attempt at tightening, you're actually finishing up in a weak position. So it's necessary to go back a second time to a position of strength to tighten it further, and if necessary, a third or fourth time to a position of strength to finish your tightening. So in conclusion, it really doesn't matter which hole you use to tighten your chuck. What is important, though, is to repeatedly tighten it until you can no longer tighten it, always going back to a position of strength with your wrist.